Prime Minister Skerrit encouraged about prospects for Asian investment in Dominica under the Citizenship by Investment program. Debt forgiveness is one of the agenda items as Dominica prepares to host a donors meeting here next week, and OECS heads to meet in Dominica for their 62nd authority meeting. I am Idona Jean-Baptiste with the Channel 5 News. Details coming up. First up, Prime Minister Skerrit says he is impressed with Asia's response to Dominica's Citizenship by Investment program.
Speaking during his first news conference since returning home from his Asian tour, the Prime Minister says there are tremendous opportunities for Dominica in that part of the world.
And people are keen on the product which Dominica is offering. And I believe that in the next 6 to 12 months, 18 months, we will see increased business coming from to the Citizenship by Investment program on both fronts. As you know, we have two elements of the program. One has to do with the cash contribution to the country, and the other has to do with the real estate arm. And as you know, we've approved fully one project that is we've broken ground for this, 160 rooms. That's the Kempinski Hotel, and we have several other projects that we will be approving in the next couple of weeks.
The Prime Minister says while the CIP program is important to Dominica from a financial standpoint, it's critical to maintain a robust due diligence process. Dominica's CIP program began in 1993 and has since seen significant changes over the last year. Channel 5 News will have more on the Prime Minister's trip to Asia and the Chinese government's commitment to the new hospital and other projects in our next newscast.
Even if the shared housing relief supplies at the Canefield Industrial Estate has been closed, displaced storm victims still continue to benefit from supplies. Shortly after Tropical Storm Erica, a shed at the Canefield Industrial Estate was assigned to the Welfare and Relief Supplies Subcommittee for storage of supplies to be distributed to those affected. The Welfare and Relief Supplies Subcommittee includes non-governmental organizations such as the Red Cross Society. Chairman of that subcommittee told Channel 5 News other measures have been taken to ensure people who have been displaced continue to receive aid.
Well, where we have been controlling Shed 10, that is no more. That shed has been closed now. Because, as you mentioned earlier, some persons feel that what we really need now would be more financial aid in terms of rebuilding and so on.
Okay, but what happens to the people who have been making requests who are still in need, like the people from Petit Savan?
Okay, so the people from Petit Savan who are, well, those are placed in different institutions. So the committee, the Food and General Supplies Committee still take care of them because remember, government placed them in those institutions, so government has taken on the responsibility to give them the required whatever they need until such time that they would be moved to to be on their own.
In some cases, Morvan says there are displaced people who are working and those who have resumed farming and do not necessarily depend solely on government's assistance.
And some of those persons who are out there as well, they're back together again, they're back on their feet again. So because of that, we see the need to reduce on the supplies gradually until the shed is now permanently closed.
But you're still receiving supplies to distribute to people who are in need?
Well, not from the Welfare and Relief Supply Subcommittee, but some of those persons, they have other organizations who assist. For instance, Red Cross would receive supplies. We have the different clubs like Rotary clubs and so on. They receive supplies and they have adopted certain communities around Dominica where they would give those supplies. Also, persons would go to them, personally, and they would assist them with supplies.
In other major developments, donors who have been instrumental in providing emergency relief to Dominica following Tropical Storm Erica are scheduled to meet in Dominica on Monday.
Prime Minister Skerrit told reporters at a news conference on Friday that Monday's conference presents a perfect opportunity to inform the donor community of Dominica's continued recovery efforts. At that meeting, which is scheduled for Fort Young Hotel, government will indicate to the donors the specific areas of possible assistance that they can continue to provide to Dominica. The Prime Minister describes emergency relief from the donor community after Erica as overwhelming.
As you know, what we did was to have engaged the World Bank to do an assessment for us, and a number of agencies supported that effort. We'll be discussing with the donor community. We'll be hearing from them on what specific areas they believe that they may be able to assist us. Now, it is not a meeting where people will stand up and say, okay, we'll give you 25, we'll give you 50, we'll give you 15. It is a part of a process. You must first inform, and then bilateral engagement will be entered into, and also at that meeting guidance will be given to us as to how we can go about the recovery, rehabilitation, reconstruction phase.
Prime Minister Skerrit was asked about the likelihood of debt forgiveness for Dominica in light of the upcoming donors meeting.
A country just cannot go to a country and say, give me a loan. There is information, documentation that you must provide those institutions, those countries, in order to contract a loan. And therefore, this is why we keep saying always that we must ensure that this country always meets its obligations to its creditors. You know, and sometimes we, the citizens, want us to take decisions that can hamper our opportunities down the road. You know, so it is something that I've heard you talking in the public and so on, but from my experience here, being Minister of Finance for the last 12 years, that we have to be very careful how we approach it. You understand? And the case that we make, even if you have a storm, because the storm itself places difficulties on your fiscal position. You understand? As we reported to you some months ago, the drop in the VAT revenue, for example.
Mr. Skerrit says debt forgiveness is part of the agenda, and discussions have started with some of our partners in that regard to allow the country time to recover. Monday's Donors Conference starts at 8:30. In other news, Christmas has come early for some residents of Petit-Savan.
That's how a donation from California-based Friends of Dominica is being described. Barbara Grimner, originally from Philadelphia and who has visited Dominica several times, decided to take action when she heard of the damage caused by the tropical storm.
As soon as she heard about the disaster, as soon as she doesn't have a lot of money herself, but she knows how to organize fundraising. So what she did was she went on the internet, she set up a website. She let our friends and our family know that there was this website. Some of my family had already donated to the Red Cross, but those who still hadn't gotten around to that, they channeled their money into the website that Barbara Grimner created, and she raised over $3,000, which she sent down to me. I received it, and I put it in some envelopes for everybody here, and the idea was just to get a little, I know it's just a drop, but just to put a little something in everybody's hands.
The money was distributed among 30 individuals who are unemployed, lost their homes and family members as a result of Tropical Storm Erica.
I must say, so far it's like we have been receiving a lot of aid from the outside Caribbean and from Dominicans here. And I must say that we appreciate it very much. And yeah, on behalf of my community, I say, like, without these aids, I don't know what we would have done, but through their good hearts, they have been giving, and we must be thankful to them. As much as we are receiving, I hope the day when it comes for us to give, we will give.
Members of the Haitian community severely affected by Tropical Storm Erica have received assistance from the International Foundation for the Development of Haitians.
The individuals living in West Coast communities were dealt a heavy blow when the tropical storm hit the island in August. Haitian nationals in Dominica gathered together to provide some much-needed supplies for these families.
When Erica passed, they lost everything. Do you know what, when you lost everything? They lost everything special in Makusri area. There are other places too, but really more focus on Makusri area because they lost everything. Also, we have Haitian National and Dominica have a triplets. You know what triplets? They are 3 children born together. I went to visit official in St. Joseph. They are living in St. Joseph. When I see the condition living, is really bad because the condition living to take care of 4 children is very bad. I tell my other members, what can we do?
The president of the foundation says more donations to Haitian nationals may be possible if assistance is provided.
The donation we deliver to them, we deliver clothing. Also, we deliver rice, sugar, food. So we deliver food to them. So that is that's a beginning. As I tell you, it's a non-profit organization, and I believe other businessmen, other people will call us, tell us, hey, Mr. King or Petit Louis, we have 1 bag of rice. We have some purpose. So I don't have to beg people because that I believe they will work with us. That is our faith.
The foundation aims to give support to a number of different nationalities on island.
It was developed so that we can provide or seek aid for the Haitians here in Dominica who are in need. We also do extend a hand to non-Haitians or Dominicans or Spanish or Chinese, whoever it is that seeking for assistance. Assistance could be whether it is household needs, clothing, shelter, money, towards education, which is our main goal.
The International Foundation for the Development of Haitians is a non-profit organization based in Dominica.
This is Channel 5 News. We'll be back in a moment. Thanks for staying with us. Dominica will host OECS heads of government when the 62nd meeting of the OECS Authority convenes on Wednesday and Thursday of next week.
That meeting will be chaired by Prime Minister of Grenada, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell.
It's an important meeting, the number of serious matters taking place in the world, one of which is the upcoming COP21 summit on climate change in Paris, and we have to discuss and continue to ensure that we have a united voice there, and the number of issues within the OECS, the economies of the OECS that one has to look at and to continue the discussions on that. So it's a very critical meeting at a very crucial time for us.
The Prime Minister says hosting these important meetings in Dominica next week will have significance for the tourism sector.
And we're very happy to be able to host that meeting. And I must say that my colleague heads of government insisted that Dominica host the meeting so that they can continue to show solidarity and support for Dominica. And of course, the hotels will have opportunity to have rooms. And that's one of the reasons also, because normally the donor meetings are held in Barbados because it's a central point, and most of the development partners reside physically in Barbados because the missions are there. The international organizations normally are based in Barbados, and it is easy for people to get to coming from different parts of the world and of course the Caribbean. But both ourselves and our partners have indicated you should host it in Dominica so that we can express the solidarity. The hotel rooms can be filled, the taxi operators can benefit, so that it is assisting in the economy of a country.
The OECS Authority meeting will be held at the State House Conference Center on Victoria Street. The opening ceremony is scheduled for 9 in the morning. While here, the heads are expected to visit selected areas affected by Tropical Storm Erica.
Limited parking around the city continues to be a troubling issue for the Traffic and Licensing Department. The recently appointed head of the Traffic Department says this situation is being looked at. However, he says addressing it will involve a more extensive plan.
We are discussing these things, but we have to look at Roseau. When you look at Roseau, anyone can conclude that parking is very good. It's going to be very tight. The number of vehicles we have in Roseau at any one day, and the city is really small, so we might have to look at alternate parking out of the city. Okay. So we could have to identify an area where we can have a parking lot for vehicles. So that in itself can take care of some of the problems we are faced with.
On the court scene, the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court this week reserved its decision in a matter involving Marino Enterprises and First Caribbean International Bank, formerly Barclays Bank PLC.
Justice Brian Cottle had entered judgment for the bank for payment of the balance of principal interest and other charges in the sum of over $1,200,000 in February 2006. However, Marino Enterprises claims the matter was not properly dealt with in the courts and sought to have amendments made, which was denied by another judge. They have since appealed. Antiguan lawyer Hugh Marshall, along with Zara Lewis and Noelis Didier, represented Marino Enterprises.
They had certain arrangements under a particular type of export facility that was established with the central bank, and they sought to amend their claim to bring these matters before the court in 2009, and the court did not permit them. And we felt that, in fact, that removed the client from the judgment seat. And as a consequence of that, the matter went on for a hearing. So we have now applied to the court for the court to consider these aspects, which the court says that it will take some time to do.
In terms of your delivery, how do you find yourself now in terms of what you've delivered to the court? How confident are you in terms of the court's ruling?
Well, I think you always think you could do better than you did. Well, at least I always feel I could have done better than I did, and we all have hindsight, 2020 vision in hindsight, but I'm at least happy that the court is considering the matter and considers it sufficient that it needs to take time to deliberate upon it because of the implications it has for the administration of justice throughout the region.
What did you all come to court today to basically do?
To get the court, for our client, to get the court to consider giving our client an opportunity to present his case that he's been trying to present since 2009.
Education tourism is being closely looked at as a means of further developing the tourism industry in Dominica.
A team of Latin American teachers is currently on island to undergo a 7-month training course in teaching English as a second language. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism says the contingent of Ecuadorian teachers on island is a boost for Dominica's tourism sector.
Education tourism is high on the agenda of the Ministry of Tourism, and therefore when we were asked to assist, to collaborate in this event this evening, in this event that you will partake in the next few weeks, we were happy, we were ecstatic. There was not one moment that we did not lose one moment thinking. And so I'm happy that you're here. I welcome you on behalf of the Minister, and we look forward to other groups. When you return, you would speak highly of the program, we speak highly of this destination, and you would invite other persons so we can continue and strengthen the bonds that we have fought hard over the past years to build between Dominica, Ecuador, and other Latin American countries.
The English as a second language course is being hosted at the Dominica State College and forms part of the Teach English Caribbean program.
International students are boosts to any country's economy. In the case of Dominica, the whole country of Dominica is going to benefit from the enrollment of these international students at the Dominica State College. The college and higher education will benefit from fees and tuition, which we certainly need. Dominica landlords and innkeepers will benefit. Dominica restaurants will benefit. Dominica grocery stores will benefit. The transportation sector, health insurance agencies, telecommunications will all benefit. All of those economic activities can translate into more jobs for locals and certainly help the country's foreign exchange.
Peters says the State College is on a continuous drive to have a more robust and attractive curriculum for its students. Dr. Peters was speaking at a welcome reception for 34 teachers from Ecuador who are participating in the program to learn to teach English as a second language. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Plans are underway to provide assistance to Dominicans in the fishing industry who were severely affected by Tropical Storm Erica.
The disclosure was made by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Trade when she addressed a graduation ceremony earlier this week. Residents of Bagatelle, Fort Seja, and Dubic involved in the fishing sector were heavily affected.
And one of the things we have decided to do is to redivert our funding for apprenticeship programs to training programs that will assist in the reconstruction process. So in that regard, the ministry is actually launching a series of training programs to assist the fishery sector, which has been heavily impacted by Tropical Storm Erica. We have started a small engine repair program in the Forsasia area. We are also in the process of starting a boat building and a fish boat making apprenticeship program.
A focus is also being placed on involving young people in the construction industry as Dominica continues its rebuilding efforts post-Erica.
We will also be assisting with the housing reconstruction by continuing our construction skills apprenticeship program. So while we are reconstructing or while we are rebuilding, we are also going to be training and assisting the young people to find some form of employment. We try to ensure that we do programs that can benefit a wide sector, a wide range of people.
These projects are expected to come on stream by the end of the year.
Sports highlights next with Kenny Williams.
On the cricket scene, close of play on day one of the second test between Australia and New Zealand. Australia with a mammoth 416 for 2 in 90 overs. Warner scored 244 and Khawaja 121 for Australia. Henry and Bracewell picked up 1 wicket each for New Zealand. The match continues over the weekend. Still in cricket, the second ODI between England and Pakistan. England batted first, making 283 for 5 and Pakistan 24 for 3. Hales secured 109 for England, while Riaz picked up 3 for 43 for Pakistan. Pakistan replied 188 all out, with Ahmed collecting 64. Wokes took 4 wickets for England. England won by 95 runs. In some football, the DFA Lime Premier League resumes this weekend after the challenges brought about by recent inclement weather. League leaders Jubilant Football Club will be looking to defend their winning streak when they come up against defending champions Kyrie FM Exodus Football Club.
After the cancellation of all matches in week 6 of the DFA Lime Premier League due to the inclement weather last week, 2 doubleheaders are scheduled for week number 7 at the Benjamin Park in Portsmouth this weekend. On Saturday, Surgical Southeast will take on Northern Concrete and Steel Bombers from 3 p.m. in the first match of a doubleheader. Southeast has lost their last 3 matches played, while Bombers have only managed a draw from 5 matches played and are presently in relegation zone. In the second match from 5 p.m., league leaders Jubilant Football Club will be looking to remain unbeaten when they come up against defending champions Kyrie FM Exodus Football Club, who has dropped 6 points to date. In another doubleheader on Sunday, Bath Estate Football Club, with 3 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw, will battle newcomers Sidemat Middleham United in the first match from 3 p.m. Middleham United to date has managed 1 win, 2 losses and 2 draws, while at 5 p.m. it will be the battle of the teams from Newtown when Caribbean Cool Harlem United takes on Malta India Icons Football Club.
In some more football, the Isaiah Thomas Secondary, Castle Bruce Secondary, Portsmouth Secondary, and Goodwill were among winning teams on Thursday's round of the Secondary Schools Football Championships. Kiang Martin scored 2 for Isaiah Thomas Secondary to bring his team to a 6-0 win over St. John's Academy. Randall Coppell found the back of the nets twice for Castle Bruce, with his team securing a 3-0 victory over Domlec Dominica Grammar School. St. Mary's Academy succumbed when Goodwill defeated them 2-0. Kwame Anthony picked up 2 for Goodwill. The match between Portsmouth Secondary and Northeast Comprehensive ended in a 3-all draw. And finally, in rounders, here are the matches scheduled for Sunday. Mafia Battlers will face NCCU Domsetco Stars, followed by Stew and Co. Hard Hitters versus St. Joe Phoenix at Portersville. Matadors will go head-to-head with Posse Rock Stars at Soufriere, and Sicko Rising Stars will take on Margot Comprehensive Credit Union Stars at Maho. And finally, in rounders, here are the matches scheduled for Sunday. Mafia Battlers will face NCCU Domsetco Stars, followed by Stew and Co. Hard Hitters versus St. Joe Phoenix at Portisville. Matadors will go head-to-head with Posse Rock Stars at Soufriere, and Sicko Rising Stars will take on Margot Comprehensive Credit Union Stars at Maho. The St. Joseph Savannah will be host to Tremors and Maxroy Conquerors, while the St. Joseph Savannah will host a match between Tremors and Maxroy Conquerors, while over at Grand Bay, Dubeek will take on their rivals Vikings Reformers. Loda Lake Stars will gain home advantage when they play against AGS Dynamic Stars. That's all the time we have for sports. Join us next time.
And the weather report is next.
Good evening, viewers, and welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. The interaction of trough systems across the Eastern Caribbean continued to generate instability which affected the islands of the Lesser Antilles during the course of today. Visible satellite imagery showed occasional cloudy skies across Dominica and the rest of the islands during the course of the day. We'll now move on to today's radar imagery, which indicated shower activity mainly during the early hours of this morning, with a reduction in moisture levels during the course of the day. Tonight's weather is expected to be partly cloudy with some scattered showers. And tomorrow, partly cloudy skies are expected with scattered showers mainly during the afternoon. Sea conditions tomorrow will be moderate in open water with waves peaking near 7 feet. And looking ahead, an increase in cloudiness is expected on Sunday with scattered showers by evening. On Monday, a relative improvement is expected with partly cloudy to cloudy skies. And across the Lesser Antilles tomorrow, unstable conditions will continue to produce occasional cloudy skies with showers across the chain. And on the international scene, partly cloudy skies are expected in New York and Caracas, thunderstorm activity in Miami, rain in London, and mostly cloudy skies in Beijing. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:07 a.m. and will set at 5:33 p.m. For further information, call the weather hotline at 447-5555 or visit our website at weather.gov.dm. Thank you for joining us this evening. Have a good night and a great weekend.
That's news, the headlines again. Prime Minister Skerrit encouraged about prospects for Asian investment in Dominica under the Citizenship by Investment program. Debt forgiveness is one of the agenda items as Dominica prepares to host a donors meeting here next week and OECS heads to meet in Dominica for their 62nd authority meeting. Email us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Idona Jean Baptiste. Thanks for watching. Have a good weekend.